Okay, so on this question, they're asking us, suppose that a sneaker company has 6 warehouses around the country. The cost of shipping a shoebox from one warehouse to another are listed below in the table. So in other words, this 20 is LA and Denver. In other words, to ship a shoebox from the LA factory warehouse to the Denver warehouse is a cost of 20. I don't know if it's $20. And to ship from the LA warehouse to the Houston warehouse is $50. To go from Denver to LA is $20. To go from Denver to St. Louis is $40. To go from Denver to Chicago is $50, etc. So here is, what is the cost of the cheapest delivery route from LA to RDU? I'm not sure what RDU is. Whatever RDU is. So what's the cheapest way? So we get this big map, this big matrix, which shows how much it costs to go from city to city. So what's the cheapest way to ship a shoebox from LA to RDU? How are we going to do this? Well, notice this is, we're going from LA to RDU. So it's not a loop. It's not a circuit, is it? Right? It's not a circle. We're not saying LA and all the way back. So it's not a circuit. It's a path. Right? The difference between a path and a circuit makes a circle. So it's not a loop. It's not a circle. We're going from LA to RDU. We're not going back to LA. Right? It's not a loop. We're not returning to where we started. So we're not returning to where we started. Well, so what? Why do I care about that? Well, that means I'm going to follow the instructions right up here on the shortest path, because it's a path, right? This is for a path, not a circuit. In other words, we're not completing a loop. We're not returning to where we started. Does that make sense how you figure that out in the notes? So you're going to go, I'm getting this from the notes. This is the shortest path. It's not, I'm not going to use, those other like nearest neighbor algorithm or repetitive nearest neighbor or sorted edges, also called cheapest link. I'm not going to use any of those. Those are all for circuits, for loops, for making a circle, for going back where you started. But this is a path. We're not going back where we started, right? We're going from LA to RDU. It's a path. So, all right. So these are the instructions I'm going to use. The shortest path steps, because it's a path, not a loop. Okay. So what though? But I've got this algorithm. I've got this matrix. So what do you do first? Well, we're going to need to, let me just get this out of the way. And then we're going to make a big map here. So I'm going to go 6 cities. I'm going to go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and then just put all the cities down there. So this is LA, Denver. I'm just going through the cities there. Houston. Wait, that was terrible. Houston, St. Louis, Chicago, and whatever RDU stands for. That's our destination. Okay, and so now I'm just going to put the numbers on there. And so I need to go, so from LA, so I'm looking here, LA to Denver. LA, I'll just draw that line here. Let me do it with my line making tool. LA to Denver. And it tells me that's 20. And then LA to Houston is 50. So LA to Houston, 50. So I'm just going to draw out the map first off. I'm just going to check these off as I go. Denver to LA, 20. I've already got that. So Denver to St. Louis, 40. Denver to St. Louis. Okay. It's going to be 40. Check. Denver to Chicago, 50. Denver to Chicago, right there. 50. check. Okay, Houston to LA. Already got that. Houston to LA 50, already got it. Check. Houston to St. Louis 20. Houston to St. Louis. So Houston to St. Louis 20. Check. And Houston to Chicago 40. Houston to Chicago. Okay, that'll be 40. Maybe I'll move this 50 to be more clear that it's that one. Okay, got it. And then Houston to RDU. Houston to RDU 20. So now it's getting a little messy. Houston to RDU, and that'll be 20. Got it. Okay, St. Louis to Denver 40. Already got that. Okay. Check. St. Louis to Houston 20. St. Louis to Houston, already got it. 20. St. Louis to RDU 40. That one's new. St. Louis to RDU right here. And that one is 40. Got it. Okay. Chicago to Denver 50. Chicago to already got it right here. Chicago, Denver 50. Boom. Chicago to Houston 40. Chicago to Houston 40. Already got it right there. And then Chicago to RDU 20. That's new. Chicago to RDU right there. And that's 20. That one. Got it. Fine. I think we got all RDU to these three. We've already got RDU to those three. We're done. So boom, boom, boom. All right. So I made the whole map. There we go. Now we're going to follow the steps because it's again, it's a path. So I'm going to find the shortest path. Because the path, it's a path, not a circle, not a circuit. So come on up here. So what do? So step one, mark the ending point with a 0. This ending point is now the current point. Circle it. Okay. So what's the ending point? We're supposed to go from LA to RDU. So the ending point wait, what I just did there. Okay. Ending point RDU. So I'm going to put a 0 here. That's my ending point, RDU. Okay. And I'm going to circle it because it's the current. That's what it says here, right? Mark the ending point with a 0. This is the current point. Circle it. Okay. Find all points. Step 2. Find all points leading to the current point. Find out how far they are from the end by adding the number on their line to the total on the current point. Okay. Let's try that. So in other words, which ones come into RDU? These 3. Those 3 come, look at all the lines coming in to the current point. Those 3. And then mark how far they are from the end. So this one's going to be 20. Why? Why is he 20? Because, from here to here, from Chicago to RDU is 20. RDU is the ending point, right? That's where we got to finish up. So Chicago is 20 from the end. And St. Louis is 40 from the end. So I'm going to mark St. Louis, say, well, that's 40 from the end. And then finally, Houston is 20 from the end. And then as soon as you do that, cross this guy out, you're done with that point. See what I'm reading here? Find all the points leading into that current point. Find how far they are from the end by adding their number. Once you've calculated every point leading to the current point, cross off the current point. I just crossed it off. We will never look at this point again. Now, step 4, look over the whole map to find the point with the smallest distance from the end. Circle this point because it is now the new current point. So now we look over the whole map. We look at all, so we get 0. Well, that one's done. He's crossed off, so we're done with him. 20, 40, 20. Which one's smallest? Well, these are tied. 20 and 20. Do either one, doesn't matter. I'll just do this. I'll circle him. Okay, so he's now the current point. Okay, right? This is the new current point. Okay, now go back and repeat from step 2. So I go back to step 2, and I find all the points leading to the current point, find out how far they are from the end, add their number, da-da-da. Okay, so this is now my current point. Look at all the ones coming in. So this comes in, this comes in. Now this one, we don't need to worry about because that city's done. We've crossed that off. I'm not doing anything with that one. But this city's coming into Chicago, and Denver and Houston are both coming into Chicago. And Chicago is what? 20 from the end, right? It's only 20 from the end, the RDU, which is where we're trying to end up, from LA to RDU. So Chicago is 20 from the end, and Denver's coming into Chicago, and Houston's coming into Chicago. So add up their numbers. 20 and 50. Denver is going to get, oops, try that again. Well, Denver gets a 70. Do you see why I'm saying that? From Denver to Chicago is 50. From Chicago to RDU is 20. So in other words, Denver is 70 from the end. That's what that means. How far Denver is from the end, right? Because we already knew Chicago was 20 from the end. And so from Denver to Chicago is 50. So that makes, add those up. That means Denver is 70 from the end. How far is Houston from the end? Well, from Houston to Chicago is 40. And then Chicago's 20 from the end. So add those up. That would now be 60. So I was going to write here 60, but no. We already know Houston has got a different way to get to the end, which is shorter, meaning directly to RDU, he's 20. So we're not going to write down the 60. Forget about that. I'm not going to write that down. That's what it says right here in the steps. And don't record any totals that are higher than totals already on a point. Does that make sense? We're trying to find the shortest route to the end. So from, when I'm looking at Chicago, and I'm saying, well, from Houston to Chicago is 40. And then Chicago is to the end is 20, right? So that'd be 60. From Houston to Chicago would be 40, and then 20 more would be 60. So Houston is 60 from the end. Well, yeah, if you go that way, but Houston is a shorter way to the end by just going directly to RDU for 20. So you only write it down if it's shorter than what you already had. So I'm going to get rid of that. And now we're done with Chicago. Why am I done? Because I looked at all the roads coming into Chicago. This one was already crossed off, so I didn't even need to look at that. All the cities coming into Chicago, and they're done. So Chicago's done, right? So then when you're done with one, you, what do you do? Where am I at? Oh, yeah. Once you calculate every point leading to the current point, cross it off, never look at that again, go over the whole map, find a new current point. So now look over. So this one's done. This one's done. So look at 40, 20, 70. Who's the lowest? 20. So I'll circle him. He's the new current point. Now I'm going to look at all the cities that go into Houston. This one, which is LA, and St. Louis. Now, I'm not going to look at Chicago because, again, I'm already done with Chicago. He's crossed out. I'm not going to look at RDU. It's crossed off. So I'm just going to look at LA. That's 50 added to 20. That puts LA 70 from the end. See how I'm doing that? Because LA to Houston is 50, and Houston is 20 from the end, namely like that. So that puts LA at 70 from the end. We handled LA to Houston. What else do we need? We don't need this one because the city's crossed off. We don't need Chicago. It's already crossed off. But we need St. Louis. So that's 40. No, sorry. No, St. Louis is 20, right? From St. Louis to Houston is 20. Add this 20 would be 40. Well, St. Louis is already 40 by just going directly this way. So I'm not going to write that down. That makes sense. Remember, you don't record it unless it's a lower number, unless it's a quicker way to get to the end. from St. Louis to Houston is 20, and then Houston's 20 from the end. So I would write 40 here, but St. Louis has already got a way to get to the end 40, meaning directly to RDU 40. So we're done with Houston. We looked at all the cities coming into Houston. Done. So now look at the next lowest number. So this one's done, this one's done, this one's done. Who's left? 40, 70, 70. So it'd be this 40. Look at all the cities coming into St. Louis. This one, and that's it. So I don't need to look at Houston. He's crossed off. Don't need to look at RDU. They're taken care of. So I just need to look at Denver. So Denver coming into St. Louis is 40. It's this 40 right here. A little confusing, huh? It's 40. So this is 40, and the 40 would put Denver at 80. Oh, I'm not going to write that 80. Forget it, because Denver's already 70 from the end. Do you see what just happened there? Denver to St. Louis is 40, and St. Louis is 40 from the end. So that would put Denver, at least going this way to the end, that would put Denver 80 from the end, 40 and 40, right? 40 this way to get to St. Louis, and then St. Louis is 40 from the end. That put Denver at 80 from the end. Well, we already have a way to get to the end from Denver, which is 70, namely 50 and 20. So we're not going to write down the 80. That's not better. And so now we're done with St. Louis. Oh, I never circled St. Louis. I forgot to circle. Anyway, we're done with St. Louis now. We're done with St. Louis. Okay. Look at the next lowest number. Well, 70, they're tied, whatever. I'll just do Denver. So we could go like LA to Denver. Oh, let me circle. Let me circle. Now I'm looking at Denver. Denver's current. Circle Denver. So, okay. So I don't need to worry about this because Chicago's crossed off. I don't need to worry about this. St. Louis is crossed off. Well, then the only one I need is this one. That's the third one that hits Denver. LA to Denver is 20. So if Denver is 70 from the end, that's what that bracketed number means. It's how far Denver is to the end, from the end. Denver is 70 from the end, and from LA to Denver is 20. So if you're at LA, it's 20 to get to Denver, and from Denver to the end is 70. That means from LA, it'd be 90. Well, that's not better. I'm not going to write that down, right? See what I'm talking about there? Again, Denver is 70 from the end. That's what that bracketed number means. Denver is 70 from the end. So LA takes 20 to get to Denver, and then from Denver to the end is 70. So that means LA is 90 from the end, if you go that way. But we've already got a way to get to the end from LA that's 70. So we're not going to bother with the 90. Done. Okay, so we're done with that. So all we got left now is LA. What roads come into LA? Well, don't need that one and don't need that one. They're both crossed off. So we're done. We're all the way back, and that's what it says. You are finished when you have gotten all the way back to the starting point. So we're all the way back to the start. We're at LA. Now, so how far is LA? How far from LA to RDU? Well, 70. 70 is the answer. That's how far. That's the cheapest way to get this shoebox shipped. From LA to the end, to RDU, the cheapest it's going to take us is $70. $70 of shipping costs. And by the way, how would that be? Which route is that? Well, you can see it's 50 and 20, isn't it? We should ship the box from LA to Houston and from Houston to RDU. That's going to be the cheapest way. $50 to get from LA to Houston and $20 to get from Houston to RDU. That's $70 to ship the shoebox from LA to RDU. That's the cheapest way to do it. It'll cost, what is the cost of the cheapest delivery route? It's $70 to ship the box in the cheapest way. And so there we go.